Okay, so welcome back to the video number 3 on improving with techniques. Now, remember, this is again the number 3. We already did a lot on the number 2, and we covered the most common techniques on the number 1. So on this one, we are going to do something kind of a more specific, right? So I'm going to go and show you the track without, and then I'm going to show you with. Okay, let's do without. All right, so a lot of difference, and this is an unmixed track, so we need to do a lot of mixing before improving the width, and just alone, just doing some tricks with the width, it just makes the track much better. Of course, right now I'm kind of overhyping, like hyping everything. So again, all the techniques I'm going to show you are just very specific. You just need to use 1 or 2 techniques, something like that. Just take what you need. You don't need to do everything like this. Okay, so first we're going to go to the drums. So this is the drums, right? It sounds cool. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is going to the snare. Now, this is not an improving width, but it will give you the width. Notice that the snare already has a little bit of reverb. So always, and I'm going to go fast with this because, again, this is just not a width technique. It's something that is mixing. I'm adding a little bit of, well, actually, I'm doing a lot. A little bit of reverb to the tail, to the snare. It's just going to, make everything better. Now, and I'm only doing it on the snare. So adding a reverb on the snare is just very important. Most of the times, a plate reverb is just going to do it. And you can even do a gating effect. And this is not a width technique, but I just wanted to show you that without the reverb, it just, sucks. All right. Now, I want to talk about the shakers. Now, the shakers, I'm going to go right here, and the shaker sounds fine, right? It's not a bad shaker. It sounds fine. It's not bad. Now, a lot of people overlook effects like choruses, flangers, and phasers because alone they sound not that good. Maybe not I wouldn't say not that good. Sometimes they sound amazing. Like, for example, playing a guitar and doing a univibe. Then that's, an iconic sound of the 70s, You're not going to go and tell Hendrix that, that sound sucks, But sometimes alone, an effect sounds very shitty. For example, I'm going to go to the shakers, and this is the sound of the shakers. Not too special, right? It sounds fine. But adding maybe a flanger, and notice this one has the option to be a wide flanger and make it just wide. Just a flanger. Just gonna make it wide. Just gonna improve the width. Now, what is the difference? Of course, we are just making everything just bigger. So the shakers are just gonna be kind of moving away from the mono side. We're just moving more to the sides. So always need to be aware of the mono side of the mix. But a flanger or even a phaser will help you to get a bit more width. Now, you don't need to go 100% like this. You just can do just a tiny bit, just a little bit, and that is just going to give you the width that you need. Because it's not about doing one single instrument super width. It's about doing tiny little things on different tracks and different instruments. That's going to make the difference. Tossing a plugin on the master bus and going with 100%, it's just not going to help you. All right. So flangers, phasers, they really help. And they are just, overlooked by most of people, right? So just have always a flanger and a phaser around. Okay. Okay, so alone, just by doing this and the reverb on the snare, it sounds like this. So without, it's just much more static. Notice the shakers, how they change. And again, it's just a tiny bit. All right, so that's the first tip, or maybe the second one, use reverbs on snares and use effects like flangers on phasers on different instruments. Now, it will not work every single time, but sometimes it just works. So the second thing is going to be doing mid-side processing. And this is something, again, that, not everyone does because it's just, it's a very common mixing technique. But if you're not used to mixing, maybe you're not aware of this. So basically on the audio realm, at least on music, on track, on stereo, you have a mid-side kind of a realm. You have the mid part of your mix and you have the side part of your mix. I'm going to go and just show you. I'm going to go right here and I'm going to bring a plugin that calls Mix B3. Let me just find it. A B3. This is going to be this one, Digital B3. This is from Brainworks. This is the one I like to use, and it's just a fantastic thing. And it's cheap. So this one, what we'll do, it give you a mono section, an EQ for the mono section, an EQ for the stereo section. So it's the mid and the kind of the side. So, okay. So I'm going to go right here and play the track. So this is the mono, which is cool. And this is the side. Notice that the drums, the bass, everything that kind of makes the track alive sits on the side. That's why when people say, when you hear someone say, make sure that your mono or mixing in mono is the real deal, they are right. If mono sounds fantastic, then the sides are gonna sound great, and the whole track is gonna sound great. And whenever you apply width, most of it is gonna go to the side, kind of information. So this brings us to the next kind of a thing, which is gonna be doing a mid-side EQing. So I'm gonna go and bring a plugin because I like plugins, and I like this plugin. So this is an emulation of a vintage kind of a console. And this one has the ability of doing mid and side, not left and right, just doing mid and side, the mono and the sides. So what you can do, you can go to the mid side, to the mid, which is the mono section, and provide a little bit of saturation. Same thing on the sides. Now, the cool thing is that you can kind of do a little bit on the mono and do a little bit on the sides and, the opposite. Now, this, again, just can help you a little bit. You can also boost the side information a little bit more because, again, remember that we do have side information. Let me just make sure this one is off. I'm going to go and just solo the drums because we are doing this on the drums. If I go to that, plugin again, and I bring the mono, most of the information is on the mono, and on the sides, we have the shakers. We have a little bit of the kick, which is something that we shouldn't have, but that's fine. And most of the information is going to be the snare. But we do have some side information right here. Okay. So the idea with this plugin is going to be to EQ things a little bit different. So notice that we have a mid side. This is the mid. And then we have a different EQ, which is the same exact EQ, but this one is for the sides. So we can EQ the sides a little bit different from the mid side. So I'm going to go and turn it on, and you're going to notice the difference. Notice the width. Right? It's wider. And at the same time, we get a little bit more saturation, a little bit more color, because this is a vintage plugin. So basically what we are doing right here, we are saying, okay, right? If we are mono, we mostly care mono about the kick, the bass, and the kind of the lower part of the snare. That's what we care the most in mono. All that thing, they need to be mono because it's like the bones of your song, of your track. So mono, on the mono side, we are just gonna maybe boost the bass, the kick a little bit. Notice I'm on the 200 hertz. Let me bring a fab filter. Because again, maybe you're just starting and you don't know what 200 hertz is. So 200 hertz is going to be this part. If I go and do play, notice that the kick is around here. So that's 200 hertz. I'm kind of there. So I'm boosting a little bit of the kick on the mono side. On the mid side, which is this part, I'm not doing anything. Now you can go right here and boost it if you can, if you want. But in this case, I'm just leaving it empty. So then right here, this one is going to be the higher frequencies. This knob, it's equal to this, to something like that. So remember, on the mono side, what we care is about this part, not this part. So I'm cutting a little bit from the upper frequencies. Now on the sides, we care about the opposite. We care less about getting more of the mono, and we care a bit more about the higher frequency. So I'm boosting a little bit of higher frequencies. I'm going to around 5, or we can even go even higher to 7K. And we can even do a little bit of boosting right there. And again, notice the difference. Darker, wider, and more, alive. Because we are boosting just on the sides where this information lives. Another thing that you can do, I can go right here and just cut on the sides a little bit of the bottom, because we don't care about the lower end on the sides. We care about the highs. So you can cut if you wish. So remember, the main idea is that right here, if you're boosting right here, I'm cutting too much. I'm gonna go just maybe there. So if you're boosting right here, you're cutting a little bit right here. If you're maybe not cutting or cutting right here, you're boosting here. So you're trying to kind of separate the mono and the side a little bit more. And it's just a little bit more. If you go too much, it's gonna destroy your track. It's just gonna destroy your drums. And in this case, I'm just doing on the drums, but you can do it on your instruments or whatever, the F you wish, which is completely up to you. But it just, adds a little bit more. And that's the whole thing about improving width. It's just tiny, tiny little improvements. Okay, so that's the first thing. So what's going to be the next one? So the next one, it's I'm gonna go and just show you a pretty uncommon but very cool technique. So this one is the chords, right? And this one is very mono, and I made sure that this is mono. All right, and it sounds cool, just synthesizer. Now what I want to do, I want to simulate double tracking. If you don't know what double tracking is, basically is recording your instrument or whatever, arrangement or, just track twice. And then you put one in the left and you put the other take in the right. So yeah, you just record it twice and then you move one to the left and one to the right. Now, for example, when you record a guitar, you would record the same part twice and then you pan them differently. That's double tracking. You even have quad tracking or triple tracking. Now, the thing is that when you do quad tracking or triple tracking, everything sounds like a chorus because it's just too much. So the main idea is that whenever you record the take, right, when you do double tracking, maybe you know what double tracking is, and this is just, boring, but, not all people know. Whenever you do a live performance, well, whether you're playing a keyboard, a bass, or a guitar, every time that you play the same part, the same arrangement, you're going to be playing it a little bit different because you're human and you are going to rush, or you're going to, maybe do an accent on a different place. And that, difference is gonna really help you if you double track it, because the left is gonna sound like something and the right is gonna sound very similar to the left side. And remember, when you separate things from left and right, you're just gonna get a little bit more width. And that's just why we do double tracking the whole time. Now, of course, what you can do on your instruments, if you have a mono section or something like that, you can go and copy the same synthesizer to the other side. So I'm going to go and put this one on the left, and I'm going to go and put this one on the right. Now, if I do play, and I'm going to disable this. So notice we have the same exact thing, the same exact track. The only thing we get is pretty much the same thing, but just louder. Sounds a little bit better because it's louder. But that's fine. Now, the main trick right here is that I want to humanize this second part. So I'm gonna simulate that this is the first thing I played, and this is gonna be the second time I played, the second take, the second track I recorded. And of course, since I recorded again, it's gonna be a little bit different. Now, the thing is that if we copy paste, it's not different. So with Bitwig, at least, you have a plugin called Humanize. And this, what it will do, it will go to the MIDI notes and it will offset the notes just a tiny bit. Maybe it's gonna go to this one, for example, and these three notes are just gonna play a little bit, ahead, and it's just gonna go and randomly adjust and humanize everything. Because again, that's what double tracking is all about. The inconsistency of the second track, the second recording, is just gonna make things a little bit wider. So I'm gonna go and just go and play this without, and then bring it in. So notice the difference in sound, how everything gets a little bit wider. And it's because, again, this is humanizing and randomly just changing the position of notes. So we are essentially emulating double tracking. And, then this is a new plugin that you get with the version 4.0 of Bitwig. Now, if you want to do this and you don't have this plugin, well, then it sucks. And you're going to have to go right here and just manually trying to offset things so you can get this behavior. Now, of course, with this plugin, you just get it very easily. And you know what? I can actually show you what this does. I can go right here. Oh, sorry for that. I'm going to go make a new track, like a MIDI track. And on this one, I'm going to be listening for whatever that this one is doing and just show you what it does. So I'm going to go, and I guess it's going to be the chords. If it's showing, this is the chords R. All right, let me find it. So I'm going to go right here. I'm listening to whatever this is doing, and I'm going to record the MIDI. Let me just go back again. I need to record this one, of course. Okay, so that's enough. I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to show you what this is doing, and you can already see what is happening. So notice that what is happening is some of the notes are going to be offsetted. Not too much, because I'm not doing a lot of that. But what is happening as well is that the velocities are changing. And that is just going to help you, because some notes are just going to be kind of with the different velocity. And again, this is just gonna go and offset the right side from the left side, and it's gonna improve the width. Now, of course, with this plugin, you do have other features. For example, the velocity is just gonna again do that. It's just gonna randomize the velocity, and the timing is gonna do that. It's gonna rush the note or just delay the note. Just gonna drag the note. Now, right here in this position on this plugin is cool. If you do more, it's gonna go crazy, and we can actually hear that. Notice that it's offsetting too much. The right side sounds like it's playing badly. Well, that's it. When you do too much, it's just too much, and then you're starting to get artifacts. It's just not good. This would be equal to a bad, double tracking. You need to go and record it again. So if you do a little bit like this, we still get that effect, but it's just a bit more precise. It sounds a little bit better. Without static, a bit more magical. All right, so you can basically do this with anything. If you have a guitar, well, maybe not a guitar, but if you have a different, like a lead, you can double track your leads, or maybe different chords. Okay, so what's going to be the next thing? The next thing and the last thing is going to be the ARP. So the ARP, sending something to that channel. So I'm going to go. So this is the default sound of the ARP, and it sounds quite good, right? It sounds really cool. But I want to make it wider. And this, we are back to what we discussed previously about forgetting about phasers and flangers. So I'm gonna go and send some effects to the ARP and notice how the change is gonna sound just a little bit. And it's because I have this off. So let me just do it like that. So yeah, I was thinking, what is going on? Notice the difference? Much better, right? Let's do it again without. Oh, sorry for that. Let's go again. And with the effect. Now, of course, I'm just hyping everything. It's just too much. I would go to lower volume, but... So again, what we are doing right here is just a little bit of delay, right? The thing that you do the whole time, a 3 and a 4. So we are going to get that stereo movement. But you don't have to stop right here, right? Sorry, you don't have to stop on the delay. You can go and phase the delay if you wish. And again, what you're doing is you're separating the original sound from the copies. And this is going to help your width. We already talked about on the delay series. I made a series of videos about just delays. So maybe you can go and watch that. So, but you can go grab a delay and do whatever that you want. You can bring a saturation right here if you wish. And in this case, I'm just doing a phaser and doing a little bit of modulation on the phaser so we can have a little bit of movement. But you can bring a flanger, phaser. You can bring another delay, a second delay that it will work on the repetitions of this one. Now, if you want to know more about delay techniques, go and watch the delay series on my channel. Again, this is just making everything better. Now, I'm maybe just doing too much. I'm going to go lower the volume. Right. So that's it, So, and the sum of all the things that we did, remember how it sounded before? Sounded very dull? Now it sounds cool. And we just did that. There's almost no mixing right here. It's just making the track a little bit better. Now, of course, we are doing too much of everything, but, it works. So I want to show you some other thing, one final thing, and I'm doing it on the master. And you need to be careful right here because this is kind of a part of mastering. But you can do this on a track where you have all your instruments, for example. You can do the same approach, take the same approach with the pre, and go to the mono and go to the sides. But instead of just doing EQing, what you can do is just different things. I'm gonna go right here and notice that what I'm doing is EQing, of course, but I'm doing saturation and I'm bringing just the saturator, and I'm boosting a little bit of the right of the sides. So again, you can always take the same idea of mid and side and just try different things, trying to boost the sides a little bit if you feel like you're missing a little bit of high frequencies on the side. Well, you can, go there and you can just do a tiny boost just like this. Let's say that your mix sounds muddy, right? Sounds muddy because it's, maybe a little bit messy. So muddiness is going to be around here. And I'm just, kind of a clipping right there on my... that, let me just bring the drums. This is muddy. Right here's the mud. All of this is the muddy. It's around 300, 350. So if it's too muddy, your mix, you can cut a little bit of that and it will remove the muddiness. And I'm doing it just on the mid side, on the mono section. All of these are just mastering techniques. I'm not, gonna go really, really hard on this one. But again, just a little bit of mid-side processing on your bus on your master bus, is just gonna help you. All right, so that's it. Hopefully you liked all of this. Remember, of course, to like and subscribe, and remember to check Patreon. And see you on the next one.